I think what's working well is that FDOT is making the right investments. I mean, that's certainly evidenced by the tunnel project, the rail project at the port, the 25th Street improvements and viaduct, and, you know, many, many other projects in this community that, you know, have been very, very important infrastructure without which freight really can't operate efficiently.
One of the things that's been worked well is that the DOT has identified strategic intermodal systems. So the key elements of a freight movement system have been identified, and actuating projects, what I call, or detonator projects that facilitate movement of trade are taking place.
I think the planning and implementing of projects that have been completed over the last 10 years that we've kind of lost sight of as part of the strategic intermodal system and are underway are significant investments. I think are better than any that have done in maybe across the country. I think we get out marketed by other states that talk about all the infrastructure they're putting into ports, et cetera. I think if you total up what we've been doing in the last 10 years in road, rail, sea, air, we probably exceed everyone.
Florida has a great rail network. It has capacity. We have a great working relationship with the state of Florida, but you know, the railroads are poised for growth in the state of Florida, so it's a good network.
Well, there's a logistical advantage Florida's going to always have over everybody else in the United States. And when it comes to expanding any opportunities from the Caribbean, South Central America, we're going to be the first point of entry. Now, making sure that our connectivity and our intermodal systems are designed to fit the type of potential capacities that could be coming out of those emerging markets have got to be set together in concert. You've got so many deep water ports that are capable and clamoring to be able to handle these type of products and services out of South and Central America. But at the same time, not all of them are best suited for the job. So as we force these groups to come sit together and we try to build a right size port for the right size job, I think the efficiencies that we can maximize and making sure the dollars that we've got that are hard to come by are being efficiently used, you know, this all helps.
There is a limit to the infrastructure investment dollars involved, and that situation doesn't look like it's going to improve greatly anytime in the near future. There's underutilization of what we call marine highways, short sea shipping, all water routes for domestic trade by barge in various ports in not only Florida but the whole east coast of the United States.
Our biggest issue is traffic congestion being the biggest. You know, we haul 83% of the freight in Florida on truck bottlenecks. Areas where trucks go into, they're bottlenecked, can't get in and out. Big issue facing not just Florida, but the rest of the nation, driver shortage. You know, with unemployment like it is right now, it's estimated there's a 30,000 people driver shortage in Florida, over 200,000 driver shortage across the nation. Government regulations, Washington keeps beating us every time they get a chance. They browbeat us. And the last thing is fuel prices as they continue to rise.
We're generating really probably plenty of money to maintain our roads and bridges and build more. The problem is the legislature's sweeping clean the quote-unquote transportation trust fund. If we can keep our transportation taxes going to transportation projects, I think we'll be a lot better off. I personally don't have a problem with paying more fuel taxes as long as they're spent on transportation projects.
We need a north-south interstate toll road connector to I-85 and I-65. I think that would obviously benefit Escambia County and us as well. But that is, if we meet with companies and we're dealing with them in terms of locating here, that's an issue that we have with a lot of the companies that we're trying to work. How do you get your product north and south? We can go east and west, but north and south is a problem.
From my observation and from being involved, I think that's probably the only way it's going to happen, is that both sides of the table come together and make it happen. For instance, the intermodal facility that's happening right now at the Port Everglades happened because Florida Railroad system and the Broward County came together and they made it happen where now the intermodal facility is being built at the Port Everglades. So I think that's the way to go.
The fact that we are set up to handle all this freight obviously opens a door to maybe actually produce or manufacture here and take advantage of this and create another industrial arm for the state of Florida. At the same time, with the increased rail and trucking activity, as others have mentioned, there is the concern of the livability of our downtown being the crossroads between the airport and the seaport. And so anything we can do to take studies that the MPO has done in the past and strengthen the freight corridors so that we can actually provide that separation that lets us allow to maintain a livable community and the freight corridor movement so that we're not constantly in conflict and addressing the congestion issues at the intersections. That's, I think, pivotal. And we've done many studies. They're on the shelf, and now I think this is the perfect opportunity to implement many of those ideas that have come up in the past.
There's a severe imbalance of inbound freight to outbound freight. If we could find a better way to partner with the port systems to attract more of this opportunity with the containerized freights, breaking down, shipping out to other points like we do here in Miami, maybe a better partnership in order to attract more outbound opportunities for the state of Florida.
Trade's key. One thing that we do have as an advantage in our state ports that actually we're exporting a little bit more than we are importing. But it's about the two ways of trade that, a lot of times we're saying the container vessels that are leaving and they're leaving empty. So we need to figure out how we can put things back on those vessels. So it's about broadening the discussions, about doing things that we haven't had the opportunity to do in the past, which is look at our manufacturing base, improve that into what we're doing for logistic movement of the freight. We've got some work to do at the federal level to improve our ports. And then there's going to be a lot of things of how do we move our road systems, how do we move our rail systems, and those are all part of that discussion. So, there's a lot, and it was great input. I'm glad. I think they were on target with it, and it's going to be an exciting future.
What's important is manufacturing is really the backbone of our economy and our nation, and Florida being the fourth largest state in the nation and exporting, we have manufacturers who have export products available, and we want to be able to make sure that they can get these products to other states. And obviously, as they increase their business, which they're doing, because manufacturing is coming back to the United States, that means they're going to increase in needing more employees and increasing job growth, which is important to our state of Florida.
It's absolutely critical to our future growth to have the ability to efficiently move our cargo. Right today, between 60 and 70% of all cargo that's consumed in our state is brought in by rail or truck, and all international cargo that is coming from other ports. So getting that cargo to come in through a Florida port, whether it be Tampa, Miami, or Jacksonville, or any of the ports in between, will create better efficiencies, less environmental impact. It will give us a better return on investment on our road infrastructure.
Well, I think the most important thing is to hear other folks speak up and see what their ideas are about and how we can incorporate that as opposed into our plans, as opposed to just working in a vacuum and not understanding what the needs are and how we can develop that further.
And as those ports grow, some of that cargo is going to be moved onto trains and be moved by train. Not all of it, but some of it is going to be moved by trains on rail. And we need to make sure that whenever I talk, I go to a local community and people say rail, they're always talking about passenger rail. No one wants to focus on freight rail, and that's fine. And that's what we're focused on, freight rail. But we need to make sure that as we talk about passenger rail, that we don't consume capacity and we don't conflict with the goals of our ports. And there's passenger rail discussions down in South Florida, Tampa. They always want to talk about passenger rail in Tampa, and Jacksonville too, and that's fine. But we need to make sure that that doesn't inhibit our ability to move freight by rail. One of the reasons why Sunrail was so successful is because it had a freight component to it. We weren't just moving passengers, we had a freight investment that took place there, and we had parallel corridors, so we were able to accommodate that passenger rail. But as we look to passenger systems in South Florida, Tampa, Jacksonville, other areas, we need to make sure that that doesn't hurt our ability to grow freight business by rail, or otherwise it's counterproductive.
We do not have intermodal rail transport. We have customers that either don't have rail site or it's still the low-cost mode. We'll ship product to Jacksonville, stuff it in containers, put it on piggyback, and then ship it across the country to California. That adds extra cost. It adds extra emissions if you're in a greenhouse gas world to a cost that doesn't need to be here. So having the flexibility of having a local or a regional intermodal site would benefit our business.
This initiative that the Florida DOT has taken up is something very significant. I don't think this has been done in the past, and this going around the state and listening to all the stakeholders is going to be significant in how they eventually come up with the plan, and the implementation strategy that will come out of this thing is going to be really helpful for all the modes and certainly for the ports.